welcome back to the AM Club here on MX24. If you're just joining in, thank you for choosing us. We're going straight into Lifestyle Daily. If this is your first time listening, this is your favorite morning show. In fact, this is going to be your favorite morning show. My name is Eric Mensah. So this segment is Lifestyle Daily, if you're joining us for the very first time. And on Lifestyle Daily, we have in-depth conversations, very important conversations that bother on the life of the ordinary Ghanaian. And today we're talking cyberbullying and its impact on its victims and even those perpetrating it. And joining us for this conversation, Jay.
Okay, so today joining us for the conversation, we do have Mr. Eric Mensah, who happens to be a lead financial in crimes and AML, E-Crime Bureau. And then later on also, who will be joining us would be Mr. Emmanuel Asampong, who happens to be a clinical psychologist and associate professor too as well. He'll be joining us via Zoom pretty shortly. But we do have Mr. Eric Mensah here. Good to have you. Thank you so much for coming. Good morning.
And you look ready for the conversation.
In fact, cyberbullying is an interesting conversation.
Is it?
And it is something that is actually prevalent now. So I found it so interesting, and it's good that we are talking about it.
Right. Okay.
So that those who are victims, those who are suffering the depression and anxiety, they'll find a way to, they'll find solace and find best practices to be able to mitigate those kind of cyberbullies that come against them. Yeah.
So Eric, let's quickly jump into the conversation this way. So there are two different things that happen on social media. Some say that there's the freedom of speech, so it's your social media platform, you can say what you want, and then there's cyberbullying. Can you differentiate the two for us?
Great. So basically, let me begin by defining what cyberbullying is, so that the audience will know what we are talking about when it comes to cyberbullying. Yes. So cyberbullying basically is like bullying or harassment. When we were in school, primary and all that, you have the big guys bully you, push you here and there. It's the same phenomenon that has been sent onto the cyberspace. Yeah. So here, we have faceless people with accounts, and they tend to harass you, intimidate you, publish some kind of embarrassing things about you. So that is cyberbullying. Now, just opposing cyberbullying and then freedom of speech. Yeah. Yes, of course, we have freedom of speech, but there are certain things that you say that might land you behind bars.
There are certain things you would say that might come off or will be cyberbullying.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And when you say that, of course, it's intended to somebody. And that person, one, perhaps if it's an innocent person, let me just use that word, would feel very depressed. Yeah. Because imagine a very sensitive issue of yours is being posted by someone online, and you are being tagged, and you see how our social media platform is now, where somebody can just take a quick screenshot and it is trending, it's gone viral, and even you that the matter concerns, you have no knowledge about what is going in the cyberspace, and you have people calling you, have you seen this news? You have seen your video or you've seen your picture online. Somebody has even done a GIF file, those short videos that, and of course, that creates a very huge burden on the victim. So, of course, there is freedom of speech, but we must exercise some restraint. We must be cautious. There's something we call emotional intelligence. Yes. You must ask yourself what you are going to post. Would it hurt the other person? If it were to be you, would you feel embarrassed? Would you feel depressed? Would you have some kind of anxiety? If you answer that and it is yes to you, then it means that you shouldn't post that online.
Now, the people that, come up with the perpetrators, their sole intention is to cause mayhem, is to bring that person down. Is really what the issue is. Looking at the instances instances we've seen on social media. For instance, let's use this young man as that example. And I'll tell you my experience, but let's talk about Bongo Ideas. Anytime Bongo Ideas posted anything on social media, it was as if he was saying his mind about a certain conversation. Then it moves to personalities So he had an opinion almost on every topic on any human being. Having an opinion on a topic is different from having an opinion on someone's personal life and insinuating they are into certain things. And people, you know, he had people coming for him and people supporting him. The idea was to paint a certain picture of the person that probably isn't what the public knew about them. So they usually don't think about whether or not it will hurt the person. Now, let's go to where the person becomes the perpetrator of cyberbullying. What are some of the things that, let's look at the what the law says about perpetrators of cyberbullying.
So you see, it's a very dicey situation. You can be freeing your mind out there, but once it goes into defamation, it goes into publishing false information about somebody, then the Electronic Communications Act set in. So somebody can take you on because it is disinformation. You are trying to, defame the person. That is why you have popular cases, within the country where people file for defamation and, they actually win the cases. So once it is established that what you have published about me is really not true, and I send it to court, they could use, there's the Electronic Communications Act, there's the Electronic Transactions Act, there's even the Cybersecurity Act. That is in there because, I'm mentioning that because sometimes in cyberbullying, there's something we call revenge porn. Where, let's say lovers, right? Everything is all right and something happens. I decide to post some of your nude picture that I have online just to embarrass you. It is actually enshrined in the Cybersecurity Act. Publication of what? Non-consensual sexual intimate images. So that is in there. So that can also put you behind bars. So that is the aspect that we ought to be cautious of. Of course, there's the element where, yes, of course, the subject matter is true and all that. So there, you really have to apply the emotional intelligence. Yes, of course, maybe somebody is born 1, born 2, born 3, whatever, and it's not out there in the public domain, but because you have a beef with the person, you decide to pull videos and pictures of their children and just to make the person look bad in front of everybody. That is where the cyberbullying and then the emotional intelligence is not exercised.
So I wanted to come to that part because you did say that initially you said when something falsehood is being published about you. So when what the person published is the truth, is there anything that protects the victim? So, for like you rightly said, like I have a child, I don't talk about it, but you, because we're having an issue, you come and pull my family out there. Does the law protect someone like me?
So that is a very dicey situation. Of course, when it gets to the courts, the judges, in their own wisdom, would weigh the subject matter, right? But of course, once it causes some kind of injury to you, okay, so there's a term which is called legal injury, or there's you have some depression and all that, and you're able to prove it, and I'm not a lawyer, but I know that there are certain situations where the judges themselves exercise that kind of wisdom, right, to be able to protect the victim because it has caused the victim some kind of distress and all that.
Okay,
right.
Let's take the fear factors into consideration when it comes to cyberbullying. I mean, with example from what Mimi just spoke about, with this whole bongo ideas issue. I'm going to ask the fear factors on the side of the victims and also the fear factors on the side of the perpetrators as well. So let's get into that. What are some of these fear factors first of all, on the side of the victims itself?
Great. So you see, once there's cyberbullying, right, one of the things that we have seen over the years is that there is that negative image that the victim assumes for him or herself.
Okay.
So, for example, body shaming. You are for want of a better word, you have a big body size, right? And everybody's coming at you. It demoralizes you. Even when you are walking out, you feel the whole world is looking at you because you don't look good, you don't look beautiful, and all that, right? So that is one of them. Now, another thing is that once something is published about you, right, particularly if, say, it is a secret of yours, and it is out there in the public domain, you don't know how people would take it, right? So, of course, you become socially isolated. Okay. You don't want to go into the midst of people, because once you get into the midst of people and you see two people talking, even if the issue is not about you, you feel they are talking about you, right? Yeah. So it causes a lot of depression. And even for the youth or the students, right, it sometimes affects their academic performance. Okay. Because they don't have a good mind to study. Okay. And, to be able to grasp things, you have to have a very sound mind to do that. So those are some of the things that target or affect victims. Okay. The embarrassment and all that. Now, for the perpetrators, of course, some of these perpetrators, like we see even in the normal traditional bullying, they feel they have power over you. And anytime somebody feels he or she has power over you, they do any and everything, and they think they can go scot-free with it. Right. Now, once you do that, you begin to create some kind of enemies for yourself. Okay. Because maybe today you targeted me, you are targeting Kojo. You are going to target maybe Kweku somewhere. But Kweku also feels, no, me too, I have power. Yeah. I can do anything to target you. So either they target you physically, or they can even create some kind of, the boys call it online agenda. They gather social media guys, digital marketing guys, and then they launch an attack on you, on your personality, and then before you realize, everything about you comes up in the public domain, and then they how do I call it? They de-weaponize you. Yeah. Right. So that is something from the perpetrator's side, but they ought to be very careful. For the discussions we are having, there are two angles. Cyberbullying that could lead you to the prison, and cyberbullying that would make the victim, depressed and the rest. We have to be cautious. And if you are listening and you also engage in that, sometimes people think that, you go and publish something directly on your website or something that is cyberbullying, even in comments.
Yes. I was going to go there.
Even in comments.
Even in comments.
Yes. Okay. Because if there's a news article and somebody frees his or her own mind, and they say, this is not this is not that, then you see people attacking the person in comments. And sometimes, the job we do, we go through social media portals, and you can see one article and the comments will be over 2K. That's 2,000 comments. And when you check, it's just comments under one person's comment.
Yes.
One particular person.
One person's comment, and they are bullying the person, and then so it is also a very critical thing. In fact, technically, it's called flaming. It's called flaming. So, like, there's an article, and in comments, there's that kind of heated argument and banter and insults and the rest.
Victim.
Yeah, victim.
I think we've all been victims before.
So, see, mine wasn't easy. It took me to 2 weeks or more of depression. So this is what happened. There was a story.
If it's about yours, you've forgotten about you sending me something on somebody's post and the person talking about myself and my wife. You forgot? Have you forgotten? No, cast your mind back.
I will cast there. I will go there. So I had a situation where at the time my boss had taken a huge decision. We're all trying to adjust to it, and then a young lady who had a social media platform. She said she's not a blogger, but she frees her mind. So she posted a story, and I was like, but this is not even entirely true. I mean, it's not like it's not true. So I posted a link of the actual story under her comments, at the comment section, that this is what is actually happening. Maybe she was misinformed, but because my intentions were that maybe this girl has been misinformed, and she's not like a popular one, she's not a popular, blogger or something like that. So I thought that, this girl has been misinformed. She didn't resign. She actually has been reassigned. And these two words can be very dicey. Being reassigned and resigning, it can be tricky. So I innocently, and to be honest with you, no pun intended, I posted a link over there. Oh my God. That is how this chick and her cohort came for me. So first they were like you rightly said, they were flaming under my comments, and the insult was going on. I was like, oh my God, let me just delete. So when I deleted, no, I didn't delete the comment, because I felt that attention has already come. And when I deleted, it would still come for me anyway. So I left it over there. I woke up in the morning, and then I had millions of calls, and my mother had called and was like, Mimi, are you okay? Please calm down. I don't want you to react. I was like, react to what thing?
To what?
React to what thing? To be honest with you, I didn't see the post the girl made. Because when the insults were coming, I unfriended her.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, this comment is too much. This is too negative. I don't want to follow someone like this, so I unfriended her. Yeah. So I didn't see the post she made. She made a post about me and said that I was a transgender. That she knew when I had gone to, she's about to release photos of me when I was a boy. And do you know how sad it was? A classmate of mine from junior high school said that, because I was in boarding school for a bit, said, no wonder this girl never showed us her body. So at what point did I become a transgender? Did I become a transgender before I went to junior high school? And at what point did I change to become a girl to go to junior high school for me to be hiding my body in a room that was full of girls? And why would the school put me in a room I was just processing it, but for someone who had gone to school with me, saying that under my comments, it kind of validates what the person was. I was so hurt. My mother read the comment. She almost commented, but she didn't. But my classmates from senior high school and those who grew up with me in primary school went and vindicated me over there. But then it was a really depressing moment.
So you see, even for you, it's affected your family.
Yes.
I can imagine if you are a church person, you have people taking screenshots
I'm
sending
a
to your
church
mom.
girl, and my church was on flames.
So you see, so that alone can keep you indoors because you don't know what people will start thinking.
I was so
about
hurt.
you. Your reputation is
and
actually...
I have a man's voice.
You see, but Eric, I want us to dive into this and settle this once and for all before we move to other things pertaining to cyberbullying. So then, at what point would you say that what you are saying is actually freeing your mind and being true, and what you are saying is being an attack on somebody? Because here's the case where we are all human beings. You might say something, it might be equivalent true, and you freeing your mind. But then, for me, I see it in a different way as it being very, very rude to me or some way. You get it? Because I'm a human being. We all have the way we react to certain things. Exactly. So at what point would the law say that, hey, what you said about Mimi, because we are also journalists. Here's the case where we talk about people. We talk about the things that are happening. We also have our opinions about those things. But the thing here is, if we should say them, at what point would somebody else say that, hey, no, this is cyberbullying and I'm going to take you on that? Can we differentiate that for our viewers today?
Great. So it's a very dicey situation. But let me handle it from this angle. One, seeking for accountability. So, for example, if somebody needs to do something, maybe not, let me not use the word somebody, a position needs to do A, B, C, D. And that position does not do that. And you come up and you say, this position is supposed to do this and you didn't do that. Like, you are seeking accountability. So that will not be cyberbullying. But it becomes cyberbullying when you begin to attack the person.
Okay.
Not the job the person is supposed to do, but the person's personal attributes.
So, for instance, the finance minister, I come and I'm talking about, you were given a position 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 7 years ago, and we're looking at raking in such an excess amount of money and securing excess amount of facilities for the country, and we don't have that. I can talk about it, but I can't talk about
there is actually a WhatsApp, is it a GIF? I don't want to. Okay, let me because I wanted to. I'm sure the listeners have seen that before. One of the stickers. You have one of the big men sleeping, and then it's actually circulating.
It's like GIFs.
Yes,
And the memes.
yes, and the memes. You see, that is not really right. Okay, from the emotional intelligence,
because we've all been using
you see, from the emotional intelligence point of view, right? It's not really right. Okay. Everybody sleeps, right?
Yeah.
But of course, we want to make mockery of the person.
Yeah.
We create that, and then it's circulating, and those kind of things. So what I really mean is that not attack, but speak or seek accountability.
Okay.
Be constructive in your asking.
Great.
Okay.
But do not attack persona.
Okay.
Like the person.
Like I want us to get clarity on this thing. So attacking the person looks like, oh, you owned a bank before becoming a finance minister. So how did you sustain the bank? Because the bank wasn't popular before this. You are stealing Ghana's money to facilitate the bank. That looks like cyberbullying. Is that correct?
That is a question you are asking.
Okay.
Right? You get
I'm trying to make assertions that indeed the bank wasn't popular. It wasn't doing anything.
So the question would be
how do you know?
How do you know?
Okay.
So then it's still cyberbullying.
I might not necessarily put it out because that's why I mentioned that it's a very dicey situation.
Okay, all right. So, guys, we do have Mr. Emmanuel Asampong, who happens to be a clinical psychologist and as an associate professor, joining us via Zoom right now. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, good morning. Very good. How about you?
Thank you very much so much for joining us on MX24 on AM Club this morning. We do understand that the weather is a little bit, but we'll take it like that. Anyways, sir, so today's conversation is about cyberbullying. And for you being a psychologist, we do know that these are attacks that are meted to people on social media, especially on the cyberspace. My first question to you would be, how does this affect any individual psychologically?
Right. So, yes, I was listening into your discussion, and I figured you were actually trying to pinpoint exactly what will constitute, something like that.
Yeah.
And I guess that there are some defining words that we need to take into account.
Okay.
Of course, it's been established that these activities occur over the digital space. And of course, now that we have, proliferation of, a lot of apps and, some of these digital products, we should expect that it's going to get a lot more. Now, the defining words that I talked about include the fact that something is put out there that tends to harass an individual. It threatens the person. It causes embarrassment, or kind of like targeting the person unfairly. When we consider these words, then whatever anybody does that has a semblance of any of these words that I have mentioned, that definitely will amount to the person being cyberbullied. Okay. And so with that in mind, of course, the words that I mentioned themselves triggers a certain kind of anxiety in every individual. Yeah. So, for example, if somebody has a feeling that he or she is going to be harassed, he or she is being threatened, there is always this apprehension that comes with, with it. And so, if it is that the person is expected to, as it were, act and behave normally, you are not likely to see that person behaving that way. So the makeup of the person changes entirely. And it becomes more tricky and very difficult because oftentimes you do not have, access to the person who is causing that. And that's where the tricky thing is. Yeah. So as long as you continue to engage that kind of product through which, the attacks, the targeting, the harassment, and all those things are channeled through, you have this constant feeling of anxiety to the point that if it is not dealt with, then it gets to a point that you are just not sure. And a few instances that I've encountered people, who have experienced that, they tend to shy away from those gadgets. They have a lot of difficulty. And in fact, for even senior people, for adults who kind of like use some of these platforms as part of their work, they have a lot of apprehension if they have to do their work. And so ultimately what's going to happen, productivity is going to be affected. And so, well, I'm happy that you are taking up this discussion because it is something that is happening. And the thinking is that it's actually cutting across everybody. People who, you know, are adults and are working, I mean, like the lady was talking about. I mean, it doesn't really matter your social standing. You definitely can be affected if somebody, you know, targets you unfairly through that medium.
Thank you very much for that clarity. We would like to go straight into, because we don't take too much of your time. Once someone feels or is cyberbullied, what is your advice for someone who's being dragged on social media every now and then? Some people, we know, if you use the space, are constantly under attack. It's almost as if people wake up in the morning and look for what it is about them that they want to destroy. For individuals like that, what's your advice to people like that?
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, it's important that every individual gets to know who they are, know the extent to which you can stomach certain things, how the kind of interpretation you bring to bear on, you know, the kinds of things you read. You know, so the person is saying this, you assess yourself. Is that who you are? Is that exactly what is happening to you? You know, so for a lot of people, they are able to, as it were, withstand, you know, whatever attacks that may come, depending on how they know themselves and how they see themselves. But of course, we can agree that it's not everybody who really will have what it takes to, as it were, withstand some of these things. And for such people, the expectation is that they will just drift towards, you know, people who can kind of like provide them with some kind of support. You know, oftentimes, these things tend to affect you emotionally. And so you are looking at somebody who can provide some kind of emotional support, somebody who can kind of like provide you with, you know, some information, you know, because, I mean, for all you know, it's basically because you have no idea of, you know, certain things. That's how come you may be reacting the way you do. But above all, what I think is that for anybody at all who tends to put out some of those things, thinking that they are hurting other people, I think that they also should know that, you know, a bit of an application of emotional intelligence is helpful. Because you know that if it is being done to you, you wouldn't like it. So why would you want to do it to somebody else? You know, but again, we know that these people come with an agenda. For them, all they want to do is to hurt other people. And that is why I think that those who are at the receiving end should actually build themselves emotionally. You know, because the person says that this is who you are. You have a big head. You assess yourself. Is your head really big? And in any case, if it is big, why is it big? What kind of interpretation do you put to it so that it does not affect you? I mean, I've had people who say that, yes, my hair is gray. I mean, and I say that they are colorblind because this is not gray. It's silver. You get it. You see, that's the interpretation I put to it. You understand? You know, so, I mean, because, yes, somebody will describe my hair as gray to connote that, yes, I'm an old man. But you look at me. And then you see, if indeed I'm an old man. You understand? So, yes, it may sound funny, but these are some of the strong points that I always will encourage people. Look at yourself, because no matter what, there is something about you that nobody can take away from you. There is something about you that, I mean, you can actually thrive on. So rely on those things and move on, because our society is said that people always want to put other people down. If you allow yourself, trust me, you will go down and not be able to fulfill your purpose in life. For me, I use myself as an example and tell people that no matter what, it's not something that can happen. You will never put me down because of how I see myself, how I think about myself. And I guess that's, just to add on, children usually stand at the rough end because they mostly will not have the skills. I think that parents try and instill some kind of, self-concept, a good self-concept in their children, so that the children will see themselves right. Anybody who has a good self-concept, it translates into having a very good self-esteem. The person feels good about themselves. And if your self-esteem is good, your confidence level, super. And so, like I said, having a good self-concept translating into a good self-esteem, and then having confidence. These are the kinds of things we need to inculcate into, up and coming children, because sometimes if you look at where our society is going, one really cannot be too optimistic about.
Absolutely. Now,
getting to.
I'd like us to bother a little bit on the psychological makeup of these perpetrators. Sometimes, you said something about, they being intentionally out there to hurt people. And we've heard the concept of hurt people. So they're out there harming people, calling people names, making them look bad. But one would like to think again, what is it that is going on with they themselves that is making them, set out, to hurt other people? Do you think that's something we should pay attention to?
It is. Interestingly, some of these people themselves also have problems with their self-esteem.
True.
So, they think that is an avenue for them to kind of like establish their real identities. To kind of like have a certain sense of control, a certain sense of power. And because again, they are not clearly seen as in they are the ones behind some of these things. It gives them that power. And that power is reinforced when people actually react in ways that kind of like give them satisfaction. That, oh yeah, what I did is actually realizing results. Then it's more like, yes, they continue to trend. It's more like reinforcing, whatever they may be thinking. And I think that, if you were to read anything from anybody, what kind of priority do you put to it? That will go a long way to make them know whether indeed they are relevant or not. But above all, because of the kind of digital space that we are experiencing now, I think that authorities that be should also begin to put. I know a few things have been done in terms of laws to kind of like safeguard the space. But the extent to which we are seeing to the implementation of these laws is also very important.
Yes.
And I have said that, yes, it's going to get worse, it's going to get more. And so we need to ensure that we are, first of all, providing a lot of education on the availability of these laws, so that if anybody were to do anything like that, anything untoward, that the law catches up with you. And once that happens, then people will begin to know that, yes, I have this, liberty to do whatever I want. But if I go beyond a certain limit that is not acceptable, the law will catch up with me. So let me also be sure and then be circumspect in terms of what I put out there.
Okay.
If we were doing some of these things, I think that, yes, we should be able to help both those who, people who are the receiving end and those who kind of like initiate some of these things.
Okay. All right, Prof. Lastly, worst case scenario, you would have, let's say, a client or a patient, for that matter, who's gone through this cyberbullying for quite a very long time to the extent of depression, and the person comes to you as a patient. Worst case scenario, for how long would you think the person would have to have or use? Is it years, 3 years, 5 years to come out of a situation like this?
Well, I would rather the person is my client and not my patient. Yeah, but of course, it depends. We all come with, different resources. So, for example, you may have, very good resources when it comes to an area. I may not. And then when it has to do with some other thing, I may have a lot more than you do. So it's more like case by case. And so it's very difficult to really say that, well, for an individual, this is how long it's going to, until you have done, the appropriate assessment and then gotten to know what resources are available. But, give and take, you're looking at, a maximum of like 12 weeks with, very good kind of engagement. You expect to see some changes.
Okay.
And then once you realize that, what it means is that it's more like that the person would have, gotten what it takes to be able to, as it were, move on from there. And then, from that time, the 12 weeks onwards, then you can kind of like stagger the period that you meet. So give and take. 12 weeks, you should begin to see some changes.
Wow. Anyways, all right, Prof. Thank you so much for joining us. Will there be any add-ons? Probably something we haven't touched on psychologically on this?
I mean, just to say that, yes, we all need to build ourselves up, when it comes to our psychology. That is very, very important because, everything that, we live for, everything that we live by, ultimately, if we are not careful, it's going to affect our psyche. And that's why it's important that we all build, we have some sense of resilience. Because, we live in quite a chaotic society. And if you don't have what it takes to really withstand, the kinds of things that go on, and then it's almost as if, every now and then you have an individual who will be down, and I don't think that is helpful enough. Okay. So yes, we all need to be there for each other, give the needed support to each other. After all, how long are we all going to spend on this earth?
That's a very important question. But you stay with us. We have in the studio Mr. Eric Mensah, who is taking us through the technicalities of this.
Mensah's coming
Because my family members have identified their presence here.
Mimi, I wanted to add something to the best practice, generally, right? Okay. So basically, like he mentioned, aside the victims' psychological strength, we all have a part to play. Particularly if, let's say, you're in a WhatsApp group, right, and somebody is being cyberbullied, you can stand up and then, speak for the person, right? If a content is being shared in your closed groups like WhatsApp and the rest, you can pinpoint it and say, no, this is wrong. It's cyberbullying. Stop. And in so doing, we are building ourselves, right? So that is one. And the other bit is what the technologies like Facebook and the rest are doing to prevent cyberbullying. Right now, there are a lot of algorithms that have been developed to be able to identify such sensitive, comments and the rest, and then it takes it off. Sometimes even they delete the accounts of those who are cyberbullying. So it's something I wanted to just add up to.
We have actually seen. I was actually going to go to the point where these platforms allow certain conversations to continue. Like yesterday, there was a whole conversation on a video that's trending that nobody, in fact, most people haven't seen the video, but there are conversations already sparking from that video. And you would think that, a platform like that is, we've talked about this already, a platform that is meant to be trusted is giving, platform to other people to harm other people. Again, let's come back to some of the technical situations, like when a cyberbully has continuously done this and nobody has said anything about it, or people have complained, yet authorities haven't made moves. What does that mean?
So, you see, there's one thing I always say, is that sometimes when there are complaints to the authorities, sometimes we assume that nothing is done about it.
Okay.
But the fact is that in investigations, sometimes it takes time, particularly when it comes to cyber-related investigations.
But we have evidence. The person is doing this thing. We have shown you evidence. Why?
So if it is, let's say, you see the name Eric Mensah as the handle name, right? It does not necessarily mean that Eric Mensah, I am behind it. So, of course, there must be some kind of investigations, and those doing the investigations must be super sure. But when it goes to court, you heard this term, beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah. So if there's an iota of doubt, your case can be thrown out. So that is one bit which we all need to understand. Another bit is, of course, I understand within Ghana sometimes it's hard to say, but sometimes we delay in responding to certain things like this. Of course, it is a new, how do I call that word? It's a challenge. Yeah. It's a challenge, which we all pray for, that the law enforcement agencies, the government who are supposed to implement certain things, who are supposed to enforce certain laws, are really up and doing to be able to close certain cases and then close the cases well. So that as it serves as a deterrent to those other people that are perpetrating
Yes, yes. I think that you're doing a fantastic job trying to make it look like, oh, it's a process. But we have also heard, especially in this case of Bongo, when the story came out that he had been arrested, immediately people could trace it to the fact that he had talked about so many people, nothing was done. But immediately he touched on the First Lady's situation. Immediately there was some sort of a pickup that the police had denied being involved in, but then there was some sort of a punishment or some sort of a swift response to what this boy has been doing for years. So is it that we trivialize it when it is not someone in authority, and then once it's someone in authority, we kind of add,
You see, working in the investigations and intelligence domain for some time, right? Of course, maybe he posted and then the following day something happened. What if it's not about the person who he spoke about? It could have been somebody he spoke about maybe 3 years, 4 years ago. That is actually using that as a stepping stone to launch an attack so that the people can divert and say, oh, is this person who did it? So when it comes to investigations, critical care is taken to be able to find the real perpetrator behind it. In this, and of course, people came in, they didn't see where they sent them and all that. Of course, even that story, right? We ought to find out whether that story is actually true or not.
Yes.
You see,
Because it seems so some way fictional.
In investigations, you have to have a very open mind about everything. Get real facts on the ground, because in court it is facts.
It is facts.
All right.
If I
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If I may, just to, it's Eric, right?
Yes, Eric.
Just to add on to what Eric is saying. Yes, I agree. Investigations usually will take a very long time. And I'm sure we all know by now that a lot of these people who are behind some of these attacks oftentimes will kind of like pounce on other people's identities. So you don't want a situation where there will be very shoddy investigations and then somebody is implicated who actually happens not to be the person. And that's how come, there really has to be, some pains taken in, conducting investigations. But be that as it may, it's also important that whoever would have made that report, it's also giving some briefing periodically, just to let the person have that assurance that indeed something is being done. In most cases, that is not done, and that's how come people will kind of like, make all those pronouncements. So just as the law enforcement, takes time to unravel whatever is behind it, I think it's also important that from time to time, whoever would have made that report is giving the kind of briefing that this is something that we are doing. We are here, that kind of, and it helps, from all angles.
Absolutely.
Can we officially try as much as possible to educate our people a bit? As it stands right now, as Ghanaians, we realize that this cyberbullying is becoming too much. Mimi has tasted hers. Me, I've tasted mine. A lot of people. I mean, you cannot even say something about somebody at the end of the day, it becomes something else. You get it. Even when you are trying to say it in a better way, especially the fans and the whatnots, people are fanatics of people. They will come after you. But currently, as we speak, if you're being cyberbullied, what are the things that you need to do? Is there a unit? Is there a cyber crime unit? Where you're supposed to report right here in Ghana? How do you do your follow-ups? What is it with it that you can actually just get into and you believe you're safe?
Okay, so maybe let me say then if psychologists have something to add. So first off, when you are being cyberbullied, it is evidence that you need. You take screenshots of the messages. That is the first thing. Take screenshots of the messages as evidence. Then, I'm talking technically, right? You report to the police. Within the Ghana Police CID, there is a cybercrime unit. Right? So you can go to the nearest police station, tell them about your issue, and they will direct you who to speak with. But there's a general line for the police, I think 18555.
18555. Keep that in mind.
That's the general line for the police. There's also the Cyber Security Authority.
Okay.
So it's an authority that is mandated to, police kind of the cyberspace and then help in the safer digital agenda, right? Okay. So you can also call them. It's a toll-free number 292. 292. Or you can even go to their website. I think csa.gov.gh. You see a lot of things in there. You can report also to them. Now, aside that, particularly for minors and those who don't know their way out and all that, speak to somebody who you trust. Particularly if the cyberbullying is more like, sometimes it's not on the open social media like Facebook where everybody can, but it's in a closed group like WhatsApp and all that.
Yeah, so I was actually, before you continue, I was going to ask you what the platforms that show that, what are the platforms that how do I put it? What platform would you be attacked on that states that, no, this one is cyberbullying?
No, every digital platform.
Okay.
So even online gaming, online games. Yes, there are a lot of cyberbullying that also go on over. Yes.
We didn't know about that.
I didn't know. I didn't even know that WhatsApp, you could be cyberbullied on WhatsApp. I didn't know that.
Any digital medium, that's why it's cyberbullying.
Right.
So like we mentioned, traditional bullying where physically they attack you. Right. So the cyber is just any cyberspace or any digital device that is used to harass, intimidate, and all that. Right. Once you take screenshots and all that, speak to somebody you trust. They'll give you guidance. And one thing you ought to know if you're a victim, when you are being cyberbullied, don't try to defend yourself. Don't respond. Because the more you respond, the more you generate the conversation. So just stop the conversation over there, and then it will minimize it.
I stopped and they still called me transgender. Okay, so Doc, for me, who has been cyberbullied, by the way, sometimes I promise you guys, that day, I went to the mirror more than once.
You started asking yourself questions.
I think that I got the message that it said to me that the girl is trying to say that I'm ugly because, again, she knew very well that I wasn't transgender. So just trying to say that I went to the mirror more than once. So in my situation, what was I supposed to do, Doc?
So Miriam, I mean, you ask yourself the very questions that, you were being attacked with.
Yeah.
Are you a transgender?
No.
As you sit, are you beautiful or not?
I'm fine.
So I mean, to a very large, what did you say? You are fine?
I said I'm beautiful.
Exactly.
Like fine as in fine.
Yes, I mean, look at, is it Kojo?
Yes, sir.
Is it Kojo? Yes. I mean, look at him with his schoolie eye.
That's right. That's right. Yes, sir.
So you see, I mean, I keep saying that people should actually look out for the kinds of, look, we all don't have it all.
Yeah.
I mean, take it or leave it. We all don't have it all. But there are certain things about you that you can actually rely on, and it puts you on top of the world.
Yeah.
Regardless of what anybody says about you. Yeah. Those are the things that we all should actually be looking out for and thrive on. You get it? Because, I mean, like I said, look, this space is going to get bigger. Yeah. And we should be prepared for a lot more of these things. Yeah. My concern really is that we do have developing country celebrities who also are out there putting up all kinds of things. And we see some of these things. Look, because some of these people are role models in society, they should always think about the kinds of things they put out there. Because it goes a long way to hurt other people. And I think that if they themselves, are taking it upon themselves to kind of like make pronouncements using that same space that they've been putting out, some of these things, it will help for people to know that, look, it is not right for you to use that space to harass somebody, to intimidate somebody. Because, I mean, look, human as we are, if the slightest thing that really can break you up will have a rippling effect on so many things.
Yes.
And that's how we shouldn't try to bring down anybody at all.
Okay.
Whatever we do towards people, whatever we say about them, should be edifying enough such that these people can actually move from one level to the next higher level.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the essence of humanity.
Good. Worst case scenario.
Thank you so much.
Should somebody be caught in the act of cyberbullying, what is the punishment by law? What does the person go through? What is the person privy to?
Okay, so I will talk about it when it comes to defamation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, defamation. The Electronic Communications Act actually has some provisions in there. I don't want to put a figure out there or some years out there that would be wrong, but there are some penalties in there that are meted out to people who perpetrate such cyberbullying and or defamation and all that.
Now, in the case of, again, he is the one on the hot seat now, so let's talk about him a little bit. He's put himself out here. In the case of Bongo, the actions that were taken against him, if it is true, how he said he was picked up, and he claimed, in fact, the initial conversation was that it was Ghana police. That conversation went through. He said what he said. He even came out to say that even Ghana police is lying and all of those things. No, do you think Ghana police should have reacted to those comments, or is trivial? They don't need to talk about it.
You see, there's strategy for everything. Perhaps Ghana police has a different strategy to handle him.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes not everything on social media that you react to,
Especially an institution like that.
yes, as an institution, you have to.
But it's destroying their name. They're saying that they did something that was unlawful to him.
Of course, once it's out there, I'm sure the Ghana police also have their lawyers, and they'll jaw about this whole thing, and then decide whether they have to, respond or not to respond immediately. Okay, so I'm sure there might be better reasons. Okay, why they had not responded immediately like that. Right?
Interesting. We've been talking cyberbullying here on the show. We're talking its effects on people and even the perpetrators, because I like to think that people who do bad things might be going through a lot. I personally am that type of person. When someone does that, I'm like, are you okay? Is everything fine? But I love the conversation and angles that we took it from the psychological aspect of it. One of the things that I have actually learned today from Doc is that you better look at yourself and say, girl, you're bad. You're good. And so if anybody is coming for you on social media, you know that you are all of that and more. And so you're not too, blown away by the wind of bullying. Also, we who are on social media, who have taken upon ourselves that because we are not happy with where we are, we want other people to come down. To heaven is waiting for you. I told you.
But is Prof still on with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
yeah,
Prof, quickly, we're wrapping it up, but quickly, for you personally, have you, apart from the Bongo ideas that we heard that, this happened and all that, but for you, have you heard or seen or met anybody that has been behind this whole cyberbullying? Not the victims, though, the perpetrators who've been caught before, and what was the person's reasons or what happened to the person in particular?
Unfortunately, I haven't met anybody like that.
Okay.
I mean, those that I have encountered are those who
The victims.
rather have.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have
No
it.
problem. Okay.
But it's good discussion, and kudos to you for bringing up this.
Thank you very much.
Wish you all the best. I have to run. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
We're
Thank
going
you so
to let
much
you
for
go.
joining
Thank you
us.
so much for joining us. And your advice has been well taken, especially by me.
By all of us. By all of us. Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm the baddest in the room, bro. What are you talking about?
Okay, so Eric, moving forward and wrapping it up. So you've given us, some amazing things to look out for, and especially even educated our viewers as to the numbers even that we need to even call and all that. I love the part where you say we should take screenshots. In fact, my cyberbullying, I still have screenshots to date.
Good.
Because I just know that definitely they'll still come back. It's just grace period. It's just like, sure, that kind of thing. Yes, and I believe they'll come back. But what you said about not even responding. It felt like, yes, that was the trick.
The best,
I mean, you are tired. You keep on saying it and saying it and saying it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what else? Because whatever you're saying is not true
Right.
in the first place. I think they just had a motive, and they couldn't get the motive being done. Okay. So finally, your words to especially the victims. In fact, I'm not even going to talk about the perpetrators because they will just want to do whatever they want to do.
Great.
But to the victims, what is it that you can tell them that could encourage them this morning?
So, of course, like Doc mentioned, whatever they are saying about you, whether it is true or not true, it is you, right? So, whatever you say about yourself is what holds for you. Other opinions should not drown you, not at all. Now, another thing is, don't also, that's for the viewers, right? Don't also put things out there that somebody can leverage on to cyberbully you. We also have to be very
We have to be
cautious.
cautious about that.
Don't put things out there that someone can leverage on to cyberbully you. It's extremely important. Now, another thing is that once you are also watching, you know what cyberbullying is. You should ensure that any sign you see, whether in a WhatsApp group, on Facebook, IG, TikTok, and the rest, that is trying to cyberbully someone, you can come in and then serve as the mediator in there. Try to calm things down so that the other person who is perpetrating the cyberbully would know that what they are doing is not right. Sometimes people bully people without knowing that they are actually, what they are doing is actually cyberbullying. So once you step in there, you would protect that person, or you are waking that person, so that does not happen. So that is it. Stay away from cyberbullying. All of us should be good net. Is it, how do you call it? Is it netizens? There's a name that
Netizens.
Netizens. Good netizens. Right?
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Wow, this is profound.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mensah, for coming through. This has been very educative and very informing, and I know that you've learned a thing or two, and that's what we do here on the AM Club. We educate you. We make sure you know what is happening, and it's because of you who are here. My name is Miriam Uduak-Mensah. This has been the AM Club.
My name is Kojo Dasibe. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I know you've enjoyed it. The weather is still weathering, but anyways, we'll keep you here. Please join us on our social media platforms, of course, MX24GH. Don't go cyberbullying us because we have a tough skin, all right? So we'll make sure we keep it that way. Anyways, so we'll see you same time tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., where we bring you nothing but the very best. But it's bye-bye for now.